publicly disseminate the information on its website. That's what the US indictment that they want to extradite Julian Assange for says. We know who supports Assange because of their record over the last 10 years. People here today, the Julian Assange Defence Committee, who have maintained a vigil at the embassy for 7 years. Real journalists like John Pilger, who has made another very important statement today, which can be read on the WSWS. All the parliamentary parties in Britain, including Labour under Corbyn, have done nothing to defend Assange since he was first arrested 9 years ago and since he was forced to take refuge in the Ecuadorian embassy. They've not released a single statement in opposition to his treatment or called a single protest. They have abandoned him. Corbyn's tweet was the first comment on Assange he has made in nearly 4 years since he became Labour leader. Now, he has decided it's more important to maintain unity with the Blairites. And within a matter of hours of Julian's arrest, these Blairite political criminals opened a campaign to insist Assange be extradited to Sweden to face allegations that we know are all fabricated. Yesterday, more than 70 MPs and peers from the Labour Party, from the new independent group of Blairites, from the Tories, as well as the Scottish National Party and Liberal Democrats, wrote to the Home Secretary, Diane Abbott, demanding they support the reopening of the Swedish investigations and that Assange be sent there instead. The Guardian has joined this chorus that he be sent to Sweden. So too has the venal and disgusting Socialist Workers' Party, which today, in an article, states that Assange, quote, should face trial in Sweden if the Swedish authorities pursue their vendetta against him. They are all doing everything possible to continue the hounding of Julian and to see him locked up in prison for good.
Sweden would only... Thank you. Now, Sweden, we have to be clear on this, would only be an alternative route to the US where Julian would be sent. And the main thing about this campaign in The Guardian, amongst all the pseudo-left who were supporting this, is to tar Assange as a sexual predator and a rapist in order to justify their continued refusal to defend him. Julian Assange has got no friends in the political establishment in Britain, only enemies. If a vote was held in Parliament today on Assange's extradition to Sweden or the US, it would be easily passed, and passed with the backing of a large part of the Labour Party. He has no friends in the media, in the mainstream media, the Vichy journalists, as John Pilger rightly describes them. Just think about it. If Jeremy Corbyn had made defending Assange an issue over all these years, do you think the police could have just turned up and dared to drag Julian Assange out of the embassy, an ill man, out of the front door of the embassy, in the centre of London in broad daylight, and treat him like a criminal? Do you think that could have been done had a campaign been mobilised in Julian Assange's defence? Throughout history, the only social force who have defended the democratic rights that we have, our working people, is the working class. Now is the time to act when these rights are under assault as never before. The fight to defend Julian Assange is your fight. Workers and youth must come forward and take an unequivocal stance in defence of Julian Assange.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Yes.
I'd like to conclude with the following. We must today continue our fight. We must organise meetings, protests and solidarity demonstrations to demand Julian's immediate release from Belmarsh prison and his safe return to Australia or to any country where he chooses to live. We say to Julian Assange, you can count on the support of the Socialist Equality Party and the World Socialist website in your defence. We've held protests in Sydney and Melbourne this week. We will organise more. We will work closely with the Defence Campaign to secure maximum attendance at every protest in the UK, and we call for attendance at the next public meeting called in London in defence of Julian to be held on Friday, April 26th. Thank you very much. Robert Stevens.
Hello? Excuse me? Hey. It was shocking and painful to watch one of the greatest journalists of our time, a publisher, an award-winning journalist, Julian Assange, forcibly dragged out of the Ecuadorian embassy by the British police, putting a police ban straight to Westminster. They don't think in his human rights. He's not feeling very well. His health has deteriorated. It is a shameful day in the United Kingdom justice system. United Kingdom must assure all of us, if we live in a democracy, that Julian Assange will never be extradited to the United States. He will never get justice. He will never get a fair trial in the United States. This is an assault on our liberties. This is an assault on press freedom. This is an assault on our right to know. This is an assault on Julian Assange. He has been charged for publishing truthful information on U.S. crimes and other lies of United States. All the crimes they want to keep it. All the crimes that they want to keep it quiet. For doing journalism, he has been charged. This is shocking and illegal. This is the darkest day for journalism, for the press freedom, for the right to know. We need to stand with Julian Assange because our freedom depends on Julian Assange, on Chelsea Manning, on Edward Snowden, and our whistleblowers. Our democracy, they need whistleblowers to put the people who are in power, to keep them on check, because they commit crimes and they want to keep it quiet. And we are not going to let that happen. Julian Assange has done more than anyone. He's for freedom of press, for the freedom of speech, for the right to know, for the truth, for the facts. Perhaps we are oppressed in every way, but human conscience is more powerful than repression. This travesty of justice is going to be in the history books. The world is watching United Kingdom. The world is watching United States. The world is watching Ecuador. It is justice that binds us together. It's justice that makes us a society. Any threat to that kind of sense of justice and fairness undermines the entire system in United Kingdom and across the world. We need to stand with Julian Assange. We need to keep showing his revelations. We need to keep showing to these people that we never forget all the things, beautiful things that our hero has done for humanity. The truth is the number one ambition of the world, and this world, the truth is the number one ambition of the world, and this world is full of lies, deception, injustice. All the revelations made by Julian, by Chelsea Manning, by Edward Snowden are true, full of facts, 100% accurate. He is a hero Julian Assange. And we promised to Julian Assange when he was dragged out in the most brutal way from the Ecuadorian embassy, the book that he showed. We will buy the book of Gore Vidal called History of the National Security State. Thank you, Julian Assange. You have educated. You are a light in the darkest tunnel, and we will fight for you, because this is our fight. Your fight is our fight. We will keep showing again and again to the public the revelations of Julian Assange and Chelsea Manning. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsa. Thank you. Very grateful. I would like to ask Juan to say a few words, please. Introduce yourself, please.
Oh, thank you. My name is Juan Carlos Piedra, an activist for Ecuadorian movement in UK. But I have my friend, a good friend, he will translate for me. Thank you.
Los ecuatorianos y las ecuatorianas
The Ecuadorian people,
nos sentimos avergonzados
we feel ashamed
del gobierno ecuatoriano.
of the government of Ecuador.
Nosotros,
We,
que trabajamos por un supuesto gobierno socialista,
That
hoy
wo-
nos ha traicionado.
but work for a socialist government, we have been betrayed.
Hoy, la entrega total a Estados Unidos y a la derecha ecuatoriana comprueba una vez más la traición de Lenín Moreno.
Today, this selling of the principles to United States that Lenín Moreno has done and his government shows the betrayal against us.
La violación a los derechos humanos y a la constitución política ecuatoriana
The break of the law, of the Ecuadorian law and the human rights law as well.
avergüenza no solamente
Ashamed not just
nos avergüenza porque se ha cometido una falta grave contra cada uno de los periodistas que hoy están aquí.
really make us ashamed because a big, important rule has been broken against not just Julian Assange, but all the journalists that work in the world.
No solo los periodistas que hoy están cubriendo esta noticia,
Not just the journalists here,
sino absolutamente todos
but everybody who's a journalist in the world.
están en peligro.
You are in danger.
Por eso es que queremos denunciar a nivel internacional
That's why we want to denounce
y solidarizarnos con Julian Assange.
and give solidarity to Julian Assange.
Decirle, Julian Assange no está solo.
We want to tell Julian Assange, you are not alone.
Vamos a parar la extradición.
We're going to stop the extradition.
Aquí está.
Here we are with you.
Las y los activistas para seguir en la lucha. La lucha continúa.
All we will continue. The fight will continue. We'll be here and support Julian Assange.
Assange, amigo, el pueblo está contigo. 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 El pueblo está contigo.
Belmarsh, Belmarsh, freedom for Assange.
Belmarsh, Belmarsh, freedom for Assange. Belmarsh, Belmarsh, freedom for Assange.
She's in power.
Well, I want to say something very brief. I'm a journalist, I'm a Venezuelan journalist, and I know how important it is to have our freedom of telling the truth, be protected in our job. It's essential for our job. If Julian Assange gets extradited and he gets, obviously, court case in the United States and get sent to prison, who knows what is going to happen to our work? What is going to happen to us? When are we going to feel safe to tell when the wrongdoing doings of the governments happen and we know about it? What is going to happen here? The destruction of our protection, the protection we have right to have to inform the society, especially to inform them when our governments commit crimes of lesser humanity, crimes against people, when they have mafias, corruption behind them that they don't want the whole society to see. This is really, really important. It's not just about Assange. It's about not just about Assange or Manning or Snowden. It's about everybody who works as journalists and everybody in our society who has the right to know the truth, behind what the governments tell us. We really need to know, because communication is power. That's how we take decisions. Look what happened to Brexit. Ignorant people, everybody not knowing what to do, voting to get us out of the European Union. We need information for everything. We do need it. And Assange has risked his life to give us that chance of knowing exactly the truth, of knowing what is behind all these wars of Iraq and knowing all the corruption that goes around the banks. We know that that existed. We have an inkling of it. But he showed us that it really is true. And that's why we're here to protect, to stand by him, to really complain and to make the UK government, who really doesn't have any reputation of protecting human rights anymore. The war they have been raging in Yemen is a disgrace. Children dying every day. It's appalling to see all this injustice. All these poor people in Yemen suffering because UK and Saudi Arabia is waging a war against a poor country. And this now adds to this legacy of the United Kingdom as a destructor of human rights, international law as well. The way they have taken the gold in Venezuela, the Bank of England, and the way they behave against the Venezuelan government is totally illegal. I just want to say that we really need to take this government into account. No more destruction of our democracy, destruction of the human rights charts, destruction of the international law. We cannot allow this anymore.
Thank you very much, everyone. I will introduce my friend, Val Brown from London Guantanamo. But before she starts speaking, I would like to say just something very short. We've had tremendous solidarity from all over the world. I mean, at a moment's notice, people have gathered here today in solidarity with Julian Assange in Belmarsh prison. This is the first time I visit a prison. A lot of the people who are here today is the same like me. He is suffering in there. We're going to follow him in prison, at the courts, and advocate his freedom. We've had tremendous solidarity internationally. We've had campaigns, people stepping up, wanting to organize this and organize that. And one particular supporter organized a van. You may have seen the billboard around London streets. And it is with us here today. They've just parked at the prison car park. I'm sure a lot of the guards will be entertained. And very soon they'll drive back. We have the possibility to take photographs. Anyone who wishes to do so, the driver will be coming soon. And then we'll continue with a speech from Val Brown from London Guantanamo. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you. I started campaigning after I read many of WikiLeaks things on Guantanamo, the tortures and everything else, and I have been campaigning now with all these good people for these horrors.
Bravo!
That's lovely. I just want to say that without the bravery of Chelsea Manning and Julian Assange, many, many people would still have their eyes closed to what is happening. And a horrible thought that I had while I was listening to these speeches is that Julian is not American. He's Australian. And as everybody knows, if America doesn't like somebody, they could just ship him off to Guantanamo. They've already enlarged Guantanamo because they want to take people from Venezuela there. So there is even a more horror that Julian could end up in Guantanamo. A place of torture, terrible torture. And as I say, without Julian, many people would not have known about what was happening all over the world. And we really must get him free. He cannot be put into the hands of the evil that is America. And I should say the United States of America, because America is a very, very large continent. So, as I say, I'm just speaking off the cuff, but please do everything you can to help Julian, because without Julian, many, many, many more people would have suffered the horrors of what has been happening in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. Would like to open up now if anyone wishes to say a few words.
Hello. Of course, there's so many injustices. What's very important is that somebody mentioned already about the magistrate's court, where the person said of Julian that he was a narcissist. Now, a narcissist is a person who looks at his own reflection, is in love with that. But he also added to that, he has never thought of anybody but himself. He thinks only of himself. How far can you get from the reality? That's going from the one extreme to the other. It's just the opposite. He has thought of other people. So if you make selfishness unselfishness, then let's make the so-called unselfishness of the British government selfishness. And we know that to be the case. Somebody has mentioned also the Pinochet. Pinochet, there we wanted him extradited because, of course, he's a criminal to Spain. And the British government got him sneaked out of Britain, where he was held at Virginia Waters, which is not far from here. He was held there. We were all demonstrated. This goes back 20 years. But we had an injunction so that we could challenge this in court. But the court didn't open until 10 o'clock in the morning. And cars left from Virginia Water where Pinochet was there and under house arrest, but he was kept there. But then so many cars came out, we couldn't inspect every single car, and he possibly was lying on the floor or whatever. So they got him out. So they break their own laws. This is what's very important to realize, you see. And I applaud, of course, the decision, the wonderful statements of Diane Abbott and Jeremy Corbyn. I mean, at least no extradition. I think we have a chance. I think it would be important in the election that we get finally an honest person, Jeremy Corbyn, Diane Abbott, there are a few others. Yes, a lot of dishonest people in the Labour Party, the Bourgeois Party, I know that. But we have a chance for the first time to get a government we will do some things right. And I often say to people who have doubts about this, if only one good thing is done, and that is that the government then, with Corbyn and Dan Abbott and others, do not condone any kind of so-called humanitarian intervention, because we know it's the opposite. But if they do not condone that, that means, of course, invasion, occupation. If they do not condone that, they don't allow that to happen, then perhaps I suppose it won't happen, you know. So if only for that, imperialism will be weakened. So I say for only that reason, I would mention it's very important. There are so many issues to discuss, but I think it's important to realize, somebody mentioned living in the United States. Yes, I lived there for about 8-9 years, and I saw the McCarthyite Committee. Now, McCarthyism, you've heard of the witch so-called blacklist, well, black is beautiful, so they should use a different word. But anyway, the criminalizing of people who fought for their rights, like when the greatest of human beings ever lived, and I hope the name means something to you, Paul Robeson, was the most beautiful singing voice, but also a great fighter for human rights. Right up to Australia with the Australian Aborigines. That's what he did at the end of the Maori of New Zealand. Black people, Jewish people, certainly. But then we have the state of Israel. And I think we mustn't be afraid. I'm also part Jewish, I'm not religious. But I say it's a shame that what the state of Israel is doing to the Palestinians. Now they're doing that, of course, not because they're Jews, just as what the British and other French, other governments were doing in Africa was not because they were Christians, but they were, so we mustn't be ashamed of saying that. And of course we must support, people mentioned what's happening in Yemen and everywhere. But all these struggles are very important. Yeah, to defend WikiLeaks, send a letter to your MP. I think other people, you will of course be saying that better than I and in more detail. I think what I want to finish with, the McCarthy Committee, the reason I started saying this, calling people communists, who may have been, may not have been, but so communists are wonderful people. But the thing is, there are many people who are not communists, but still refuse to answer the question, because as Quakers, for instance, and others, they believed in the right, political right to join an organization of their choice. And one person who was at these hearings of the McCarthyite Committee, I heard him say he was a refugee from Germany, a Jewish person, an old person. He said, for the second time, I've seen the naked face of fascism. He said, I saw it, of course, in Germany, but now I'm seeing it here. Now, this is a first-hand witness who said that. I think you can't discount that. It's very important. There's so much more to say. You said it very well. And let's remember the heroes, certainly, wonderful Julian Assange, and that resistance. Where there's oppression, there's resistance. Dare to struggle, dare to win. Remember Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your words. And of course, very, very important what you said about the universality of this cause. It's about human rights. It transcends ideology, political ideology. Everyone obviously legitimately gathers around their own ideological belief and what gives them strength to continue. But this is a cause that transcends the party politics of this world. I certainly believe so. And a lot of people who stood by me outside the Ecuadorian embassy are of the same belief. The human rights above all unite us, unite every single human being. I would like to say a few words about our campaign, our Free Julian Assange campaign. Please write to your members of parliament. Parliament is important, as we've seen demonstrated this week clearly. Write to your parliament, to your member of parliament, your elected representative. Make your views known. It is important. It is very, very important that we have a voice in this political struggle. We'll be closing in. I'll be going around asking for people if they're interested in participating in any more activities. So I'll be very happy to give you, to take your email address and keep you informed of the next actions. So thank you very much for coming today. Please stay around and let's talk together, get to know each other, and see what we're going to do next for Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Hello everyone. Before the weather is turning. We're going to be going home soon. One last thing, we'd like to take a picture inside the area of Belmarsh prison. So whoever wishes to participate, please follow me and we'll have the picture taken. Take your banners, take your posters, or just yourselves. One single picture inside the area of Belmarsh. Okay, thank you very much for coming everyone. Thank you.
If you wish to participate in a group photograph in that inside Belmarsh court,
We are going to Julian now. Julian.
buen show. Durante el día cuando usted le trabajaba y se wishes to participate in the photograph.
Yeah,
Please follow me. Thank you. Yes, it's very good. Email address. Here's my email address. I gave it to you. To whom did you give it? To piece of paper.
Hola, Víctor.
¿Cómo estamos? Okay. Where's the other guy? One is Julian.
He's on his way.
Okay.
Esta es la que vale, esta.
Hola.
There's only one decision.
No extradition. There's only one decision. No extradition. There's only one decision. No extradition. There's only one decision. No extradition. There's only one decision. No extradition. ¡Abajo Moreno! ¡Abajo! Moreno, traidor, hipócrita. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Compañeros, tengan ustedes muy buenas tardes. Estamos nuevamente aquí para demostrar el respaldo a Julian Assange. Julian Assange no está solo, está con Latinoamérica y el mundo. Aquí estamos los verdaderos revolucionarios reclamando los derechos de Julian Assange para que no sea extraditado a los Estados Unidos, ya que este Lenin Moreno traidor, corrupto, hizo lo que quiso hacer, violando los derechos humanos, violando los derechos del pueblo ecuatoriano, haciendo lo que le da la gana, un hombre que no tiene sentido ni fundamentos. Pero aquí estamos los verdaderos revolucionarios, aquí estamos el pueblo que defendemos para el pueblo, y aquí estamos para decirle no al gobierno británico, no a la extradición de Julian Assange. Aquí estaremos hasta las últimas consecuencias, aquí estaremos viniendo reclamando lo que es de la justicia para Julian Assange. Compañeros, vamos a estar en diferentes personas hablando los derechos de Julian Assange. Estamos diferentes organizaciones, estamos diferentes grupos para decirle a Lenin Moreno que fue un traidor, que lo vendió a Julian Assange por 4 monedas. No se merece a este hombre, ni estando muerto se merece esto lo que ha hecho, que ha defraudado al pueblo, a Latinoamérica, ha defraudado al Ecuador, ha defraudado a los inmigrantes, nos está haciendo quedar mal, pésimamente mal a nivel mundial. Esto no lo vamos a permitir y estaremos en la embajada del Ecuador también para sacarlo a ese cónsul que no es cónsul para nosotros, no es cónsul para nosotros. Vamos a estar en las embajadas, vamos a sacarlo a ese cónsul traidor, a esa gente que no sirve para nada, esa gente traidora, esa gente que no es bienestar para nuestro pueblo. Aquí estamos esta gente del pueblo, compañeros. A este embajador no se merece que sea nuestro representante. Este es un sinvergüenza, igual que Lenin Moreno. Son 2 sinvergüenzas metidos en una misma colada que entregaron a Julian Assange, mintiendo a la prensa, mintiendo al mundo entero. Y eso no es justo, compañeros. Aquí estamos y vamos a seguir en pos de lucha, en pos de campaña para defenderlo a Julian Assange, para defender la democracia de Latinoamérica.
Julian Assange, free, free, 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 Julian Assange,
free, free, Julian Assange,
free, free, Julian Assange, free, free, Julian Assange. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. ¡Abajo el traidor de Moreno!
There's only one decision.
No extradition. There's only one decision. No extradition. There's only one decision. No extradition. There's only one decision. No extradition. One decision. No extradition. There's only one decision. No extradition.
There's only one decision.
No extradition.
No extradition.
US, UK, hands of Assange. 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 US, UK,
Hands of Assange. US, UK, hands of Assange. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. ¡Viva Julian Assange! ¡Viva!
Belmarsh, Belmarsh, freedom for Assange.
Belmarsh! Belmarsh! Freedom for Assange! 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 Belmarsh!
Let's go inside.
Freedom for Assange!
Let's go inside the prison. We have to find out how are the conditions inside. Yeah, as close as the complex as possible. Reception, we need to talk to his prisoners. French asylum for Assange. French asylum for Assange. French asylum for Assange. Let's go. Freedom for Assange. Belmarsh. Belmarsh. Freedom for Assange. 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 No U.S. extradition. No U.S. extradition. No U.S. extradition. No U.S. extradition. No U.S. extradition.
Belmarsh! Belmarsh! Freedom for Assange! 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 Belmarsh! Belmarsh! Freedom for Assange!
Jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Abajo el traidor de Moreno. Viva Julian Assange. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo.
Compañeros, normalmente hasta aquí puede estar bien, pero de ahí en adelante no, porque después no nos van a permitir que hagamos ni visitas, absolutamente nada. Ellos se van a una especie de comisión.
No U.S. extradition.
For the global imperialism.
Freedom for Assange.
Unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
Freedom for Assange. Belmarsh, freedom for Assange.
Freedom for Assange. Freedom for Assange. Freedom for Assange. Freedom for Assange. Freedom for Assange.
Freedom for Assange.
Freedom for Assange. Freedom for Assange. Freedom for Assange. Freedom for Assange. Jamás será vencido. Unido, jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido, jamás será vencido. Abajo el traidor de Moreno. Viva Julian Assange. El pueblo unido, jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido, jamás será vencido. Abajo el traidor de Moreno.
Freedom. Julian Assange. Julian Assange. Julian Assange. Julian Assange. Julian Assange. Freedom for Assange. Free Julian 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 Assange.
Assange! Free, free, Julian 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 Assange!
Julian Assange.
Julian Assange is one of the greatest journalists of our time, a publisher, an award-winning journalist, and he has been charged with a lot of injustice just for publishing truth information about the crimes committed by United States, United Kingdom and allies, just for doing journalism. Julian Assange is our hero, and his fight is our fight, and we are not going to stop, because Julian Assange represents the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press. He represents the right to know. The society need information. We need information, and the government cannot stop that information from us. And we need Julian Assange free, free. We need justice for Julian Assange. All the people who love freedom, we will fight, and we continue our fight to free Julian Assange. A democracy needs whistleblowers, because our governments do horrific things on our backs, in our name. Julian Assange is a courageous, brilliant journalist. He is our hero, and he must be free immediately. We need justice for Julian Assange. It is justice that binds us together. It's justice that makes us a society. Any threat to that kind of sense of justice undermines the entire system in the United Kingdom and across the world.
Ya vámonos porque hay otra gente también que quiere visitas.
The dreadful information is number one ambition of the world, and this world is full of lies, deception, and justice. The dreadful information is number one ambition of the world, and this world is full of lies, deception, injustice, corruption. We need to put in jail the people who are committing the crimes, not our heroes. We demand justice for Julian Assange. We demand justice for Julian Assange. We will keep your revelations, Julian Assange. Your revelations are true.
Bajen el volumen un momento. Ya.
I can't confirm anything. You want to stop it? What I'm saying to you is, this is private, okay? And you're currently on it. I'm requesting that, if you're doing a peaceful protest, there's no problem with that whatsoever. You go the other side of the barriers, you've got staff who need to come in and out. We need to know what's your position here. Listen for me, please, okay? I'm due to go, okay? I'm in charge of the place. Right? You don't need to know my name, yeah, what does that matter? Okay? What I'm saying to you is, this is private. Staff need to come in.
Que vayan, no pueden estar aquí, que vayan a estar de la fiesta.
Please go to the other side.
Okay,
See where the raised barriers are and that, yeah? Go on the other side, that's no problem at all.
Okay, thank
If you're having a peaceful protest, there's no problem with that.
Thank you.
If you move to that side, staff need to move in this side now.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, thank you.
We have to go.
Vamos, compañeros. Ya, compañeros, vamos ya.
Who will I tell him has been here? Solidarity.
No, Julian.
I'll just say supporters of Vigil. That's fine. I'll make sure
You tell him we do not give up the food.
Vamos, compañeros.
Alright, thank you. Thanks.
Also, for me, my staff, I've got staff that need to go home.
We would like to write to Julian Assange. Does he have an address yet?
Compa, ya vamos.
That's an address to
Let's go.
an address.
If you could please, yeah, thank you. I think.
Yeah, let's go.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. 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 El pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
This guy doesn't deserve to be in the prison.
Assange, amigo, el pueblo está contigo. Julian Assange, amigo, el pueblo está contigo. You are our hero. You are our voice. You are light in the darkest tunnel of lies and injustice and deception. Thank you, Julian Assange. You are our voice. You are our hero. Thank you for everything you have done for humanity and our children.
Hola.
Hay que venga con Emi, hay con Juan Carlos.
Yo cuando vi el anuncio, yo
he llorado.
I read Jonathan
You know, these are globally agreed. Not all asylum rights are equal.
No, it's
asylum
against,
rights
I mean,
somewhere else. Everyone
the
has
UN
a
said
culture.
that he was being detained
Well,
illegally.
no, that's his human rights.
Right.
The asylum rights thing is that if I ask for asylum from persecution and I'm in the country that's persecuting, unless that threat goes away, you cannot, once you give it to me, unless I'm blowing things up or anything, then you'd still have layers of panels to sit through to get through.
I mean, they're actually they claim he was spying on Ecuador.
How could he spy on Ecuador when on the 28th of March last year, Ecuador took away his Wi-Fi, took away his internet, took away no access to a phone. He doesn't have a phone. He doesn't even have immediate access to his own lawyers. They have to apply.
But he was skateboarding though, wasn't he? Skateboarding.
Really?
I mean, that's what they were complaining about.
This is the problem with our media. They are so craven and they are so sure that they will be protected by our government and by our intelligences that they can spout any old BS. That story in The Guardian about Manafort visiting him.
Oh, yes,
So
yes.
we all stand out there 3 days a week, at least 3 days a week. I go by night. I never saw Manafort. I have to go and meet him and say hello.
I mean, that story's been totally discredited.
No, it hasn't.
I
We've
saw it on
discredited.
Jimmy Dore.
All the independents have discredited it. Not
Not
one.
the mainstream, and the Guardian's not
So
retracted.
we said to the Guardian, very simple, mate. We're not disputing that. We're just trying to use footage. The Ecuador embassy has recently taken away all of their own jammers and blockers, to stop other people from spying. When the ambassadors, they took away the white noise machine and everyone system, and they put double cameras, and the cameras have got audio. So they've got all of that equipment. Show us. They filmed every single visitor that comes in. They film their passports. They film their forms. They take pictures of the IMEI numbers and everything. They film the logbook. They film the porter. 2 cameras per room, except in the toilets. Their own toilet and stuff like that. So, where's and they still haven't rescinded. And you know why they rescinded it? Because they knew the bloody government here was never going to challenge them or uphold any lawsuit. WikiLeaks is a lawsuit.
If it goes, if he gets extradited to the States, it will go to court there?
No.
Could it go to the Supreme Court?
No Supreme Court for him. The secret grand jury. And a secret grand jury, if you know how that works, it's basically a secret court with a secret jury where he's not allowed to defend himself. He's not even allowed to know what the charges are before he hits the court. And they can, even if they haven't got enough to charge him, they can keep him off, they can indefinitely detain him.
But isn't there something to do with the First Amendment involved in this?
Apparently, and this is the story they've been trying to build for the last 4 or 5 years, he's not a US citizen, so he doesn't get First Amendment protection. But as a non-US citizen, they're allowed to reach into any country and pick out any nationals. You tomorrow, me, anybody. They don't like my videos. Oh, tough. They don't like your work on YouTube. They'll get you too because, hey, our government says, sure, feel free. You're here. It's like the Australian government.
This is very dangerous.
People don't get it. The journalists are all fighting because they've got the voice to protect their industry. Nobody is really shouting about the fact that if you can violate human rights like that, and if you can violate asylum rights like that, none of us are safe. What's to stop Iran from coming after you when you go on holiday to Greece or Turkey or someplace? Iran comes after you and says, let's have Adam. He's Britain. I'm Britain. Let's go. We can go into it just as you went into everyone else's country.
Are you doing a Virgil here every day? Yeah, it's too far to come on, isn't it?
We didn't organise it.
Do you mind answering some questions on the camera?
Sure.
Give to the Belmarsh back there. Huh? You're not allowed. What's the worst that could happen, eh?
You ask questions and I'll
Yeah.
answer. Yeah. Just
One second. Yeah. Okay, we're rolling. You gonna stay there?
Yeah.
Alright. You can tell us what we're doing here today.
We are here to oppose the extradition of Julian Assange, the publisher, ex-editor-in-chief of WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks is the organisation that publishes openly and freely and has a 100% accuracy record. It basically publishes stories that most of our mainstream media will never go near, namely it holds power to account. And by power I mean our government, corporations, anybody that basically does anything wrong and that they get leaked information on, they will publish once they've verified it. We're here to oppose the arrest, imprisonment and very imminent extradition to the United States of Julian Assange, who published information on the US for Iraq war crimes, amongst a trove of other things.
And what do you think his arrest means for the future of journalism?
As you can see, we're outside Her Majesty's Prison, Belmarsh. This is a Category A, high security, all men's prison. It's reserved for, extreme terrorists, murder, people who've been convicted of murder, manslaughter, selling and distribution of Class A drugs. And Julian has been put into this prison as a high-risk, high-security prisoner. For the act of publishing, for journalism. I would love to send this message to all journalists out there, to all publishers out there, to every single one of them who has fought against him and has actually encouraged and cheered on his arrest for the act of publishing. This here is what faces you when you publish anything that anyone doesn't like. And by that I don't mean if you go against your government, if you go against a corporation, if you say anything against anyone that has any power, you have helped set a precedent, or you will have helped set a precedent for all journalists.
So what was the official reason given for taking him out of the Ecuadorian embassy?
The official reason given was that he had hacked President Moreno's phone and had revealed some secrets of President Moreno. This was done after President Moreno was implicated in a corruption scandal to do with the INA papers. You can read more about that online. President Moreno claims that Julian Assange was the one who was responsible for hacking his phone and for leaking that information to WikiLeaks, and how it got, and that's how it got out into the general arena. That's not true, because on the 28th of March last year, Moreno cut all electronic communication. No phones, no computers, no tablets were made available to Mr. Assange. And in fact, his visitors had to apply in advance of coming to see him. He had no access to the outside world. It would have been impossible for him to actually have hacked anything. Not that he is a hacker, he has never hacked anything. WikiLeaks is an organization that gets leaked to and invites leaks, like most other publications. Most other journalists rely on sources giving them information that they can then create a story out of. He did not do that, but he was accused of that because Mr. Moreno was creating a narrative around which he could then be justified in ending Mr. Assange's asylum rights. Asylum rights are a sacred institution, not something that is a contract between Mr. Moreno and Mr. Assange personally, and Mr. Moreno, President Moreno, had no right whatsoever to take it upon himself to end those asylum rights on an ever-changing landscape of rules and regulations that Mr. Assange was subject to under the guise of asylum.
So why was he granted asylum in the first place?
He was granted asylum in the first place because...
and who by was?
All right. He was initially accused he was initially involved in an investigation by Sweden to do with sexual misconduct. It was a rape allegations against him by the Swedish prosecutor. When these were first brought out, they were dismissed immediately. When he was first asked to report to the police station in Sweden for to have a test, he waited around, he did the test, he went to the police station, and then he was freed to leave. 2 weeks later, he waited up for 2 weeks in Sweden. He then came here to Britain, where he was told that no, there was another European-wide arrest warrant for his arrest for for a rape allegation, a double rape allegation actually. He tried to fight that from here because he was going to be extradited to Sweden. Sweden has a very high rate of extradition of prisoners, of people from Sweden to the United States.
So he was fearful that he would get extradited to the United States?
Extradited to Sweden, and then from there be extradited to the United States. He applied for asylum to several nations, including many European nations, none of whom agreed to it. The only country that did it was Ecuador, and that's why he took asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy.
And did the United States make it public that they wanted to extradite him from Sweden?
Not at all. They kept it under wraps, and in fact the United States and the United Kingdom kept it quiet. The United Kingdom in particular denied that they had any knowledge of the extradition. Well, on the 11th of April at 10 o'clock, when Mr. Assange was dragged out of the embassy, no sooner was he in the police van, then a few minutes later newspapers started releasing a comment from the United Kingdom government saying that they were going to extradite him to the United States. They knew all along. The indictment was set by a secret grand jury in the US, and that was released in December 2017. That was the date of the actual indictment. So I don't understand how they said they didn't know anything about it.
I heard that there was some CIA officials actually there when he was being taken out of the embassy. Have you heard anything about it?
No, I didn't hear anything about that, but there was certainly undercover police, many more undercover police than there were actually London Metropolitan Police. If you follow the case all along, London Metropolitan Police were the ones who said that he would be arrested no sooner did he exit the embassy. So, as a British citizen, I question why we needed so many undercover police taking him out. Why London Metropolitan Police weren't bold enough and brave enough to follow up on all of the threats that they issued. Why didn't they turn up in their gear and represent themselves taking Mr. Assange out of the embassy? Why did we need 7 undercover police dragging him out?
So what is the charges that the US are putting to him now?
I'm not 100% on that one. I still have yet to read the indictment.
What are the fears that they may be?
I know for a fact that they're trying to convert it into a hacking charge of some sort, but that's not true. Again, I couldn't comment on that because I haven't read up on it properly. Not yet.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. Unless there's anything else you want to add in?
No. I don't think there's anything else I want to add to everything up to date, but I would like to add something to our MPs, the 70 plus MPs who are trying to build or manufacture consent and a loud noise and a loud voice to have Mr. Assange extradited to Sweden. He is on British soil. You arrested him. Are you saying that a non-existent Swedish allegation of rape that was dropped in 2017 takes precedence over an extradition to the United States? And if so, why?
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. That's all I wanted to say to them. Sorry. Thank you so much. I'm going to look for your thing. Yeah. Are you going to put it out tonight or tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, it's live streaming now, but I'm recording on my main camera a more high quality version that I'll just put out like highlights out.
How will you? I mean, like you transfer it from this one to the high quality camera, or is that the?
This is the high quality camera, and this is
my
phone is live streaming. You can watch what I've live streamed right now.
Is it still live streaming?
Yeah, still.
Can you hear?
So
the
they would have
dogs?
saw that. Yeah.
You should have been with us at the embassy all along. It would have been excellent.
I went down there yesterday. I got there. By the time I got there was no one there though.
No, I meant like since they issued the threat to.
Yeah. I know. I should have been staking it out to get that exclusive footage.
That would have been. You would have gotten more than.
Yeah, Rupley.
I was there with Rupley all along.
Was there?
Yeah.
Okay. There was somebody else filming as well on their phone.
Me.
Is that you?
There's me.
Let's see. Have you still got the footage?
I do. Do you want me to send you some?
No,
but it's all boring stuff. It's like, you're talking about Cassandra Fairbanks who took pictures of the undercover cops.
I saw that as well. Yeah.
That's the one you need to get. She's from the US. I don't have that footage. Yeah. She got that because she was there one night. I was there the next 2 nights.
But you saw them taking Assange out?
No, I didn't.
No,
I didn't. Because I left at 2:30 in the morning. They took him out at 10 the next morning. Anyway, what's your name?
My name's Leon.
Leon, I'm Karen.
Karen.
So nice to meet you.
You too.
Thank you so much. Really good work you're doing. I'm going to go have a look, yeah?
Cool, no problem.
I'm just going to write it down for you. Content. What's it called?
Over everything.
Everything.
Do you know if anyone else would be willing to give some interviews?
Yeah. It would be Emmy. You can ask her.
Okay, I'll come over in a minute. I'm just going to ask this girl over here.
Sure.
What's your media?
It's called Content Over Everything. It's a YouTube channel.
Oh,
we must look
never
that
saw
up.
it.
Let's look that up.
Do you mind asking a few questions on the camera? Just about.
I don't know, I should say yes. Do you want to answer the question?
No, because you're better informed. I mean, I've not been informed.
Just about why you're here today and what's actually happening.
Well,
oh, come on.
You don't have to if you don't want to. That's what I like.
Well,
I'm not going to be
because
enough,
we're just outraged by the injustice, and we know that after Assange, we won't have a free press if they're allowed to extradite
The president
and
of the
it's a terrible, terrible precedent and affects everybody, obviously.
What you've got so far?
Just since we moved from there to over here, I was filming and I interviewed that lady.
Yes.
Karen, is it?
I'm not sure the name. But there's actually people here living. Is it the guys? They are living here. The guardians. The guards, yeah.
I even see her in the shower.
Yeah. So what's the name of your
My channel is called Content Over Everything.
Oh,
I mainly film discussions in the Speaker's Corner. Do you know Speaker's Corner?
Yes.
I mainly film discussions over there. I'm interested in human psychology and behaviour.
Oh, right.
Consent over everything.
Yes.
No one hasn't said anything.
And what's your media? Where's Karen?
She must be talking out with me. I don't know what.
Do you have any of those badges to sell?
Oh, you know what? I give you, because I actually have a lot of. Sorry,
let me
and I give you this.
don't worry about it.
No, I got it for free, and I have plenty of them.
Gave her
Are you
interview.
sure?
Yeah, I give you this as well. Like this. No, don't worry, because we're sharing the things. Anyway.
What's your My name's Leon.
Leon, that's on Sylve.
Sylve.
Yeah, I do remember you from Speaker's Corner. How did you? Why did you come? Why?
I'm interested in
You know what?
free press, like especially what Assange has been doing, investigative journalism in particular. That's like even before I started filming myself, that was something that I was really interested in. I feel like that's the only real like where you can really trust in terms of getting an unbiased opinion on what's going on in the world.
No, because they like Clinton.
So when this happened, I'm like, wow.
It's not about.
I don't want to get second-hand information about what's happening. I just want to
like
find myself and find out.
He's the only person that Trump foreigner
Crazy,
Trump
man.
would like to get into America.
What
And
he's
they
in there
asked
for.
Craig Murray, you know,
They're saying this,
Craig Murray, what he thought he was so good.
trying to
He
hack a
said,
computer.
Well, so Clinton has a habit
But I
of
don't know how they're going to prove that.
laughing at people's suffering. She's a very
American Julian Assange. Yeah. And they're saying he was trying to get the passport to Chelsea as well.
You know, and that's absolutely right.
Apparently, they
You
say
know, when
they
she
were trying,
defended
he
that
just
man
wanted
who
to.
raped a little girl when she was a lawyer, she laughed.
So he
When
just
she-
wanted
oh my
Chelsea
God, she's
to
right. And
be safe.
when she took Gaddafi,
So he wasn't
we
hacking
came
nothing.
killed.
Always better Clinton than
And that's nice of her. She's a social
Trump. No, the lady was asking me that there is the. I was surprised in a lot of people that were here for Assange.
I'm finding
Even
more and more
because
stuff
of what
about
he did
her.
in the election.
She was involved in
American
that
election.
awful
A
sex
lot of
cult
people
that's been
got upset.
next year. Did you read about that?
I read a lot of
they're
stories,
checking for
but
stuff.
it's
No,
not
it's
for me
true.
to know what is true
No,
or not.
I think it's absolutely true that because you know, they're one of these recruiting parties for Nexium, you know,
I thought they wanted to scare us away.
branded the women with the Alison Mack thing, you know.
Thought they was coming to check for bombs or something.
She wasn't there, but her very close friend.
How was the Hugo Speaker's Corner?
Not anymore. It was just, that was the only time.
Just to raise awareness.
Last summer, and then because
this was absolutely
when the situation got imminent,
and
we stayed
then
at the
the
embassy.
man who was talking about it.
So you've been down at the
was
embassy all the
saying
time as
he
well?
was talking to this man who had a pizza shop. Do you remember
Especially
pizza
Christmas.
Gate?
Christmas was crazy.
And everyone said it's nonsense. And the children were abused.
So does he come out on the balcony at all?
No.
He wasn't allowed.
He was
They
talking
didn't
this
allow
man,
him. No, he
which
was
is very,
going to
very
the window.
credible.
He was
at
like
the
breaking
party, he got raped in as a student. And he was saying he was talking to this man, and he said he had a pizza shop. And he said,
I think I'm going to head.
you know, I don't really like East Coast pizza.
You're gonna go now?
West Coast pizza. And they had a talk.
I'm gonna walk over there.
And the man said, oh, you must come to my pizza shop.
No, I'm gonna be at Speaker's Corner tomorrow. Everyone coming down again tomorrow, yeah?
Which was abusing.
No,
it doesn't do
I'll keep an eye out,
anybody
man.
any good. But I mean, all I'm saying is that she's a very, very evil person. And no wonder.
Did you say you're filming for? Sir?
I don't know, she became someone through her course to the power. I don't know how she was like when at her beginning, you know.
She has about 1,000 different personalities and accents. Her accent was changed. She could do when she first married to Clinton.
No, it's
that's
GH4. Lumix.
She got very, very New York accent. You know, she's just an infinitely adaptable.
Oh my God, sounds like the village show.
Devil. I know, it's not very good. Trying to keep going.
Other stuff about feminism.
That's the problem, you know?
Yes.
And I can't believe because she had like
ND filters, everything is set. Everything will built in with the ND filters.
She has money, she can...
The other one. Without problem.
Yeah, definitely.
We can do it there.
Yeah, but she's still...
You have to add on a lot of accessories.
because a lot of
money, I
the
think she
people
does the
feel
best
this is
of
something
them.
when you're in a rush, you
Yeah,
need
but
to
I
really
mean,
get
she
the
got
focus
a
really
lot of
quickly,
that sort of
and
stuff,
sometimes
and
the
they got
photo
her
can be
aides
tricky
when
because
she was
it's
on the
really,
campaign, you know, they were sort of holding
Yeah,
her
yeah,
hands
yeah.
down.
Always do manual.
Yeah.
Always do manual focus.
Yeah,
And
always the better.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
Yeah, Trump
So
was
you're just setting up now, you're not going on shots of the
far
people.
better
No, I'm
country
going
they
just
done her.
doing a
Well,
person
look,
camera
he was saying, you know,
with
bring the
journalists.
jobs back,
I
no
want to look
more
at
wars, healthcare. He was saying all
tell
of
the
these
story,
people.
gonna show the where he's
And also
helping, and
the
that's it.
fact that he doesn't come from
Yes.
Strange they allowed us to stay so close
anyway,
because
it was lies.
You should have come earlier, we was right at the doors.
And you went to the rest.
Yeah.
You went to the poor countries.
I got some of the fruit.
Last time I don't remember which prison we were, but it was outside London, and they were really upset.
At least we know what he is, you know, like he doesn't kind of like himself.
Pointing.
I know.
Compared to her,
You see, it's a security threat.
to be like on the side of women, but she defended this guy.
And what was the other thing? I mean, of course, Obama was taking children away and putting them in cages, you know, because when the Democrats, anything that anti-Trump, they're very happy to go with. So they had a picture of the cages, you know, where they put the children, and then they went, oh, whoops, that was under Obama. That was in 2014. Obama was putting children into cages, and if you look it up, when they were separating children from their parents, absolutely tragic. Of course, we're all against it. But Obama was doing it. You know, but he's a pretty face. You know, and he's a nice colour.
I'm going to go back over there. I'm going to go back over there.
Okay. But then she said, well, what they were protesting about.
Just throw the man them in the bin. 3 or 4 of them there. Except for the rap snitches. They're meant to stay where they are. Rap snitches, telling all their business, sit in the court and be their own star witness. Do you see the perpetrator? Yeah, I'm right here. Fuck around, get the whole label sent off for years. Let's see what I got. Come like everybody cut out still.
I'll see you all again next time.
Yes. And there's one tomorrow at 1 o'clock if you didn't know that. Yeah.
Maybe. I'm gonna go now.
Oh, what was that? Not Julian. Huh? Yeah. I hope he's on his way. That's why I'm just waiting. It looks like I'm going to be the mole that puts the people donating candies and food. So yeah, I mean, they were trying to hire a truck outside the PA, and running the world ain't very good job. They may be right wing in loads of other kind of ways, but from foreign policy now. And he's done Are you doing friendly work?
But that's only about 2 months.
And you shut yourself in? Oh, really? Okay, yeah. Good luck. You come in at 1 o'clock tomorrow? Now here, it's supposed to be 1 o'clock tomorrow. You should double check on the email, because that time might shift.
Well, I heard the judge jump on the scares. But that's not what a judge's supposed to do. You're supposed to listen to the facts.
Well, that's what he's saying. And he's 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock on Saturday. We do 1 o'clock. Oh, really? Well, that's...
You're not appointed to give your opinion. You need to listen to the case from both sides and then sum it up. You're not supposed to, because you don't understand the matter. You don't know him. Not always.
Well, I don't know. Well, yes. Well. Hey.
I don't know you.
See, you thought I was on the good team, but all this time I've been on the cover.
Are you like this gentleman who used to
Spy Cop.
Remember a nice gentleman who used to stay.
Oh, the Irishman, the tall man, yeah. Jim, Irish Jim.
Another one who's coming from very rich family.
Let's stop
quite better. One day, he said that Julian Assange didn't sign the book, and he got angry with Julian Assange. And he started, listen to me, he got money, and he paid to the guard, his newspapers, and they were writing negative things about Julian. Then he was coming to me and saying, you can go away, you are a traitor.
That's what they wanted.
Because he said that
We can do the war crimes and we not.
They sign a book from Nobel Julian. Julian is something big. And then I thought something like that, but now I don't do why you said that Julian did
No, I'm talking about saying that he wasn't probably intended. The thing is, what we want to say low visibility. So if people are going to consider he choked off my tech game really hard. So I paid for an iPhone which I'm not able to do. I don't even own it. But if it was not the job, then
that's what I have to
is it 1 o'clock tomorrow? Even started work.
So, who's this guy? The guy who's taking the Who are you with?
Yeah, man's out.
Who are you with?
Just a YouTube channel, my own YouTube channel. It's called.
Oh, right.
It's called Content Over Everything. I mainly film discussions in the Speaker's Corner.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
In Hyde Park, you know.
Yeah. We have a friend who comes who is a tall guy. What's his name? I forgot his name.
Kyle.
Yeah.
I was hoping to see him here, but his girlfriend's there. She told me that he's about 20 minutes away, but I gotta go now. I've been here for ages.
Yeah.
I did want to film him. He'll probably come to Speaker's Corner tomorrow if he doesn't come here.
Yeah.
And I'll interview him about it.
Yeah. There's
people who jumping on the bandwagon to smear
Assange.
To smear Assange. You know, it's a game. You know,
For what reason do you think they're doing it?
I think it's mostly out of vengeance. They want to send a message to people. If you decide to spill the beans on our criminality, we will bring down the law. We will use the law.
So, I'll see you Tuesday. This outside the Ecuador Embassy, 3 o'clock.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're doing the same thing in Quito. They want to get out the president, Quito.
The simultaneous march. They're doing a march in Quito against Moreno.
Okay.
So yes, it's a thing to show that we are powerful.
Do you mind saying it on camera?
Yeah.
Let me give you my mic. This is a good one.
Yeah.
Can you hold it?
Yeah.
They're taking Carl's place now because he's supposed to be here.
Okay. I'm happy.
Let me get the prison in the background.
Yeah.
I lost my banner. One banner is gone.
So just ask me the question so you can keep me in check.
Yeah.
You see me?
I can see you.
Take care. Yeah, I just go to see.
So you said you think it's a smear campaign against Julian Assange? And I asked, what do you think the reasons are?
Yeah, I think now that he has been ejected from the embassy with the help of Ecuadorian President Moreno, the smearing, and he's now in Belmarsh prison, the smearing is now part of the campaign to isolate him internationally, to run these stories, to even bring back the case, the rape case that was, or supposed rape case in quotation, which has been dropped by Sweden. There's even a discussion about bringing that back and smear him in terms of saying how his conduct was within the walls of the embassy, and referring to him as a hacker. Lots of the journalists, because I think from jealousy and resent his accuracy in reporting news, now are claiming he's not a journalist. So it's an international kind of a attack on his character now that he's now in prison. So even the lawyers and the judges and everybody's listening is going to be swayed, I think, by that, and that is going to all come together in terms of making a judgment.
So do you think the messages they're trying to send to the world by doing this?
If you try to expose the crimes of the state, whether it's USA, UK, Israel, whatever, you will be pursued, and we will use the law, the full breadth of the law, against you. And that means that anybody who has any intention of getting into the whistleblower business or exposing the crimes of the state, they better be careful. They better be careful, because the state will come.
So you think similar charges will be brought against all of the other news outlets that publish the information leaked from WikiLeaks?
Well, they should be scared, but I don't think they will pursue them, because, of course, at the time when they were using WikiLeaks information, it was like in vogue. But once the tide changed, they stopped. They got against WikiLeaks, so they distanced themselves from WikiLeaks. And now, unless they go back to that time and go, historically go back in history to get them. But as I said, because they have now stopped any connections with WikiLeaks or reporting, or even reporting about them, and what they're doing is negative reporting, they're showing that, well, we are on your side, so don't really come down on us, I think.
What do you think of President Trump's reaction to Assange being apprehended by the British police?
Typical reaction: snake oil salesman, slimy, corrupt, opportunist, cruel, no morals, unethical, He could not even walk near Julian's shoes. This is a man who used WikiLeaks when he thought he can gain a lot of points to win. Now there is no election, there is nothing to gain. I can't remember WikiLeaks, or I don't know who WikiLeaks is.
So you say in the beginning he was in favor of WikiLeaks?
He was in favor of WikiLeaks because he was able to use their information to get at his opponent in the 2016 general election, which is Clinton, because Clinton's crimes and stuff were being shown, and he used that to get back at her.
Because his official statement was that he don't know WikiLeaks or something like that. He don't know those guys, it's not his business or something like that.
Yeah.
But you saying back in the day, is he on record as
He
like
is
endorsing
on record.
WikiLeaks?
There was a montage on one of the YouTube stations. WikiLeaks said this, and it was like a montage of all the things that he was saying. And WikiLeaks, and I love WikiLeaks. And now that he's just gotten over that coup attempt, because it was a coup attempt, this Muellergate. They call it Russiagate, but it was a really Muellergate and an FBI gate. It was like a soft coup against him. Now that he has survived that coup.
Against who?
Against Trump.
Okay.
Yeah, he's almost self-censored himself, so that's why he said, I don't know who this WikiLeaks is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, is there anything you want to say, just in general?
And for?
No?
WikiLeaks?
No, just, yeah, about today, why you're here?
Well, I'm here to continue. I mean, I was part of the Vigil.
Sorry, Auntie, step back a bit.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll step back a bit? Yeah.
I was part of the people who used to be in front of the Ecuadorian embassy 3 days a week. And this is another stage. The campaign continues. Assange must be free. He never did anything. He's a truth teller. He's a hero. He should have a Nobel Prize. And I'm here to show him that he is a hero. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie.
Yeah.
I respect.
Cheryl.
Yeah.
Cheryl.
Okay. So are you a part of an organization?
I'm with Clara.
Yeah.
I'm with Clara. Clara has been, she was a political prisoner she and her husband, I think they were political prisoners from Pinochet's time. And she...
Where's that? Where?
Pinochet's Chile.
Okay.
Chile.
Yeah.
And UK was very much with them and the US at the time, sending their planes, bombing them. The CIA, of course, given names and stuff. So she has been very much, since she's retired, she's been taking up this business with, she's on the left of politics as well. So this is very much part of our thing, and
okay.
I as well. And so I met her by chance in January. I've always followed Julian and I've always supported him anyway. But because I was working full-time in the NHS, I couldn't very well come in and support. But when I left the NHS, went to Trinidad, come back, I went to a protest against the gold that was UK stole from, or was holding from Venezuela. I met them at that protest and they told me about the vigil. And
so you're originally from Trinidad?
I'm originally from Trinidad. So I've been attending that vigil in support of Julian, because obviously I was always in support of Julian, because I felt Julian, I read what Julian was doing, and Julian is just doing journalism and publishing.
So what do you know about, in the topic of Venezuela, do you know about Petrocarib, their program where they give the oil for almost next to nothing to the Caribbean countries?
They were doing the same thing from between 2005 to 2009 to poor Americans. I think 500,000 poor Americans benefited from that program. Chavez gave them.
Sorry, Auntie, can you hold this again?
Yeah. Chavez.
Petrocarib, yeah.
I would say that I don't know much about Petrocarib, but I recently learned from looking at YouTube that one of Chavez's ways of helping poor people, it extended beyond Venezuelan borders, because he actually helped 500,000 poor Americans with heat and oil, which he gave for free. I did see a very elderly lady who came on YouTube to say that she doesn't, when asked what does she think about Venezuela, she said, well, I would say I am for Venezuela because they helped us for nearly 5 years. And Obama was so ashamed that he cut the program.
Yeah.
in 2009.
Trinidad was a beneficiary of that program as well, right? I know
No. Trinidad has oil. So.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I know Jamaica was.
Trinidad has oil. We have a lot of fineries, which is going funny way, but we've always had oil since in the 50s.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There were about 3 or 4 companies down there, but now I don't think it's going well in the oil business anyway. But we've always had petrol.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah, that was it then still.
Yeah, so Venezuela, because Venezuela is only 476 miles off of Trinidad. So we have a lot of Venezuelans who have always been coming. We have a very good relationship with Venezuela.
So is the leaders of Trinidad and Tobago traditionally, have they been like sovereign, or would you say that they've been under the control of America?
They've had a respectful relationship with the U.S. because they've always had their own oil, so you couldn't hold anything like
sanctions and
stuff. But of late, because the President Prime Minister has decided to support Maduro and not Guaido, he's getting a lot of stick as well he's getting all the stick. But we have been able to have a kind of relationship with America. But a lot of the people in the Caribbean, which is we have an organization in the Caribbean. I forgot the name of it. It used to be Carifta, but it's now it's the whole of the Caribbean. CARICOM. They are saying that they took a decision to support Maduro because he's a democratically elected.
CARICOM in majority support Maduro.
Yes, but what happened? Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Haiti, and somebody else, another country, came out and as single, as different.
Not indifferent.
And like they come out from the organization to say that although the organization in general supports Maduro as an individual nation, they seem to support Guaido, including Jamaica. Trinidad has decided they're keeping most of the Caribbean have decided. Bahamas as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say the reasons?
Bahamas is very close. Bahamas is more like a puppet. Haiti and Bahamas and Dominican Republic, they're more like, they have a different relationship. I think the Southern Caribbean, which has free education and more educated people, have a different opinion, whereas up north in the Caribbean, except Cuba, there's a different relationship with America. It's kind of subservient.
Yeah.
And then I think Jamaica had learned a lesson well. They did try to go into the left side of politics and try to become very independent. And they saw what Seaga, is it Seaga?
Edward Seaga.
Yeah, Edward Seaga. They flood the place with those guns. Yeah, from Miami, which is where they get a lot of these crooks, these gringos, to go and attack, to do all these online attack of people who support Maduro now.
Okay.
So it's the same nest of crooks that they're using. It's constant, and CIA has a big kind of outlet out there. So there's a lot of assets that they can use. Yeah. But thank God that Venezuela now, has increased his relationship with Russia and China, so hopefully that should help them. And then Venezuela has a very organized, a well-disciplined army that has no training in America. There's a school of Americas in America where they train them to be like these death squads and killers. Like it's a terrorist school, really. Hey, Joe. Yeah. Yeah. So they're not trained in that school. They've been trained by the Cubans. That's why they have not fallen for that Guaido's nonsense. A lot of them, they've been trained by Cuba, and some of them have been trained by Russia. And even their equipment is now Russian thing, which is why, because the USA is now bankrupt after fighting all these Israeli wars for Israel. They're bankrupt, so now they're at a kind of a turning point whereby they want to use proxies. They don't want to send in men. They want to use proxies. So that's the thing. That's the kind of things that they do. And trying to blacklist Venezuela all around the place. But Venezuela has more support than they think. They even tried to insult. Pence was insulting Mr. Monado, the diplomat. And then the Russian diplomats sorted them out and said, you cannot use that language. This man has been duly appointed by the Venezuelan state to represent his government. You cannot tell it, because Pence was saying you have no right to be here. You need to go back to Venezuela and tell Maduro that. Mr. Moncada is his name. So, the only people really standing up and sticking it to the U.S. in the UN, because the UN is now a playground now. It's not really doing the job because it needs restructuring, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because the General Assembly should.
Hello, can I just clarify where you can actually stand?
General Assembly.
Bearing in mind that this is government property. Okay, the only place you can actually stand is out there, just where that tree is the end of the government land.
Oh, this one?
See that big tree there?
Yes.
Just there.
Why not?
Just there. Okay. So we'll move out there.
So they need the UN needs to be restructured, because the General Assembly should be given more teeth. And the United Nations Security Council should actually be sort of dissolved, I would think, and have the General Assembly, which is where all the nations sit, the whole world sits. It is these are the people who should be taking decisions, and the only decisions that the UNC should be following is what they have said. When the majority, because that is democracy in action, you can't have 7 countries or 5 countries taking actions, and the 100 and how many countries just sitting there and watching, like audience. So to turn the tables around, you need to bring the General Assembly as the person that ratifies the stuff, and then they tell the UNC this is what's going to happen. The majority have voted, and you cannot be waging these wars. And they need to say, take a thing to say yes or no. And the General Assembly, that is the problem. They haven't got any teeth.
Who's coming with me? Who's coming with me for a little station?
Auntie, it was nice talking to you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Hopefully I'll see you again soon.
Yes.
All right.
I'm not sure if she got...
My darling, I'm going to...
Police officer nagime na pajosa. Yeah.
Just sit to the other caravan over there.
Where the stuff is? Where the tree is?
End of the trees there.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright.
Otherwise the police will just move you on anyway.
How long have you got before we move on? Right now?
Move on right now.
I ain't trying to stay in there like Julian Assange, fam. Police officer nagime na pajosa. We got smiley culture. For the love, when I do it for the likes. Success don't come overnight. But the no substance overhype. Let me get that. HMP, Young Offenders Institution, ISIS. Hey, yo, ISIS got grounds here, fam. A mad thing. Look at this shit. ISIS, blood. ISIS training grounds. Mad thing in England, you know. Let me get that, man, on the main camera. Mad thing. Yeah, I hate that. C.O.E, we're locking off now, man. Peace, bro. Respect. Yeah, peace to everybody for locking on. C.O.E on the road. Trying to up the journalism game, you get me? Yeah, peace to everyone though. I'm gonna cover the live events from now on. I'm gonna try to be out here more often. Uncle Omar running it. Mad thing. We out, man. Peace. Yeah, that's right. ISIS. HMP. Big up Kemo Ben Israel. Wave gang. Peace to my brother, Wave gang. Yeah, it's real. Let me go through real quick, man. Peace to Scatter Minds. Where you at, Scatter Minds? I was gonna shout you, to confound, fam. Next time. Yeah. I hate that. Gone.